JB here. JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. January 21st, 2025. This fine Tuesday, about 8:57. Talk really quick about the markets, some of the things going on this week. Go from there. S&P futures looking to continue last week's rally, the best week in a couple months. S&P up nearly 3% last week. NASDAQ, well, small caps up nearly 4% as inflation data kind of pointed to a cool down, and then the bank earnings just added fuel to the fire. So all those bear market calls are kind of they're still there. So this weekend we had you know the meme coin frenzy, right? All these coins going nuts. And then again, you have the people who continue to be bearish, and they have been, especially since Bitcoin has really started to take off, are starting to spew the top, right? The market is topping narrative. This is a sign that the market topped, and at some point it will be. But if I feel like I've said maybe every 3 or 4 months, there's some other thing that pops up that's the market top, and it proves not to be. So we'll see how this all plays out. But this week it's pretty much just earnings. So we have Netflix reports after the close. You have Johnson & Johnson, American Airlines. At the end of the week, I believe you have Japan might raise their rates. So I don't know if that's going to have any impact on markets. But of course, after what happened in August, probably something to pay attention to. But just good stuff here. Yields actually were up on Friday despite the market closing in the green. So just want to see those continue to come down. They're actually lower here this morning. And then just wanted, so the SPY came up pretty much up to 600 on Friday. Well, 599.36. That looks like a key spot. So when we get above that, I think that'll bode well. And then I think 610. I was talking about it in November, December as a target. I think that's the next target that comes. So pending any craziness, we're back over that 50-day moving average on the SPY. If we do get some kind of crazy reversal, we'll want to see that 593 area hold. I mean, low probability that happens, but always got to be open to scenarios and then go from there. But hopefully a decent week here. Again, not much in the way of catalyst. So this could be the week. Maybe we consolidate, chop through that 600 handle, and then start to look to new all-time highs next week. That's the overall market. Take a look at yields. And then the small caps, 5 sessions to the upside. And you know, the US dollar is higher today. So the US dollar traditionally doesn't benefit mega cap names that have large exposure abroad. So usually it's good for small caps. All right, so now individual names. If you haven't got the memo already, very bullish Adobe here. Even with, I think it was up 8% last week, closing the green all 5 sessions, gapping a little higher here in the pre-market. I think it's 440.42, something like that's the gap back at the start of January. So that's a big spot. And then I think it's off to the races still. I think it has plenty of legs. And then I think it's one of those names that people look and say, "Oh wow, I didn't know it came down that much," and they don't want to miss the train. And then it just picks up steam. So still have some strikes for this week. I'll look to close some of those out. I had a chance to close them out for decent profits on Friday, and then we got the pullback into the late morning, and then it started bouncing in the afternoon. I might look for some strikes past this week to look for that eventual break over, well, into the 440s and beyond. I think it heads 455 plus. That's Adobe. Trip, I keep talking about Trip, especially on FinTwit, but nice close on Friday, up finally over 16 bucks. The irony is that those January strikes that I sold the day before, which were pretty much bidless, only a couple sessions before that, were up over 100% into Friday. I had to wait till the last day of expiration to test that 16 handle. But I did go and get some March strikes, still have the Junes. At some point, I looked to lock some of the Junes in to cover costs for 100% and ride the rest. Just a great story. 1666 is the next key spot. I think it gets over that shortly. And then it's off to the races again. 200-day moving average is over 1702. Just a great story. And again, similar to Adobe. I think once people look at the business and they think it's just TripAdvisor, but it's not just that online review platform. That's not what it does anymore, right? It has 2 other large segments that are growing faster than the core business, and eventually one of those segments is going to pass the core revenue. So that's Trip. So Netflix reports after the close today, I think it's an 8.8% implied move. The average over the last 8 earnings has been 8.3%. So obviously the premiums are kind of well positioned for an 8% move. You take a look at $100 calls, weekly strikes out of the money, crazy. I wouldn't say crazy expensive, but even with the 8% move, they're probably going to lose some money. Let's see. I think were they over $2? I was looking the other. Yeah, the $1,000 calls, they're 370 by 390. Those expire on Friday. The thing is, I mean, it's Tuesday, so they report Tuesday, which gives time for the stock to melt higher. I think you have a great report, Netflix. That you already have the Squid Games, so that'll be a big part of growing membership and viewership. You also have the Mike Tyson fight with Jake Paul, and then you had NFL on Netflix for the first time on Christmas Day. So I think all those three factors, it has to lead to a strong report. And the other thing is they pulled the Band-Aid off last year when it said that eventually they were going to stop reporting average monthly users, stop giving guidance for, I mean, quarterly membership ads, and stop giving guidance for that, and all, as well as average revenue per member metrics. So they're not going to give that starting next quarter. So this quarter will be the last time they'll at least give the member number. So I think that's a good thing. And last time when they announced that news, I think it was Q1 of 2024, the stock sold off, even despite a huge beat and raise, because people just didn't like that, right? And I was like, oh, they hiding something. But everybody's done this. Apple's done it. Amazon was the smartest of the bunch. They never gave breakdowns of individual items, their Kindle or any of that stuff, when analysts were asking for it. And then they would just cherry pick when they give it out that data, right? Oh, or Amazon, Amazon Days or whatever had a great sales of our Kindle, and they'll give out some kind of million unit sale number or what have you. So they've been smart about it. Where Apple used to give out all the metrics on all the different individual items, and they pulled a lot of that back. So anyway, so if I was looking to play Netflix, it'd be the call side, but they're tough on a risk reward basis. Also, I think if you look at Netflix, and someone posted on FinTwit too, they did a split. The last split they did, I think, was 2014 or 2015, and then before that was in 2004. So the last split was 7-for-1, and I think the stock was right at this level. So I would not be surprised if you look, as history is a guide, every 10, 11 years they've done a split. Maybe it's this quarter. If that happens, the stock will be over $1,000. So I wish I had the conviction enough to play that, but to hope that they're going to announce a split, probably not the best way to add some calls that are 370 that are $140 out of money. It just doesn't make sense to me. So maybe I'll revisit tomorrow after the earnings. But a good way to play it. Of course, I was looking for Roku strikes. I mean, no rant is complete without me ranting about Roku. But I was just my concern would be there would be some M&A over the weekend. So thankfully there hasn't been. But I'll look for some calls to encompass earnings. And it looks like they got an upgrade or initiate at market performed by JPM Securities this morning. I'll have to take a look at that. But could get a sympathy move and then get some calls to play for premium build into the earnings. They'll report earnings somewhere in the middle of February. So I think the last two earnings reports are February 15th. February 15th is a Saturday this year, so it's not going to be on Saturday. So certainly a name I'll look for some strikes today. JOBY still setting up here nice considering its volatility over the last couple months. I mean, I hate to see some of the red sessions, but tight trading range. If there's any names that are going to benefit from this regulation or lack of regulation environment as they start to peel back regulations instead of the government continue to throw on regulations, it's some of these names, especially in growing spaces in technology, right? The full the autonomous driving, the e-vaults, all those different technologies that have to have a lot of hurdles to jump just to get out the door, right? Just to start the process of being able to get their product produced, and all those different things. They have to do hurdles, jump a lot of hurdles. I think that not only is it going to be less costly for some of these companies, it's going to expedite some of the especially JOBY, a company that maybe if the regulations keep getting added on, it's a company that won't be able to scale out in the US for 2026, 2027, where now it's probably more of reality. So I'm getting my tongue twister here. But I really like JOBY. I still have the February strikes, which obviously took it on the chin, but I added those as I locked some of my January strikes in. And then I'll certainly look for some April or later strikes at some point here on JOBY, maybe today, especially if it shows strength. Not much to head here on ISRG. I just put it on here because blue sky breakouts, it's all-time highs here. And the more it holds these levels, the higher probability that it continues to have price discovery, maybe up to 620. So don't be surprised if I look at that for some spec calls on some strength today. Caterpillar, what a great move last week, and I think some of it has to do with the fires in California. But I also, I mean, you look at the charts over the 50-day moving average right now on this on the move, on the wait, was it 380? 382, yeah. So close over on Friday. I think it heads over 400 bucks. The 400s actually look decent on a risk reward basis now, and they might get a little premium pulled out just on the 3-day weekend. So I might look for some 400 strikes on CAT finally. MDB had an initiation this morning by China Renaissance. Never, I think I've seen them do a couple stocks, so I don't know if it's a boutique firm, but still waiting for MDB to break out. One of these sessions, it's going to embark on a 5% rally, and then it'll be like a multi-day move. And you take a look, it came up to that nearly 258 or so, pulled back into the middle of January, and then started to bounce again. Friday got up to 257 before pulling back. So don't be surprised if I add some strikes to play for that move up to 280. That's MDB. Intuit, not going to say much here about Intuit besides the fact that I was looking for puts, and then finally it broke through last week. The thing is, I was looking at 580 January, so those would have expired. So I'll continue to watch this one as possible put hedge if we do get some market weakness, but still not trading on this 200-day moving average. And then last but not least here is UNH, and at some point I think this is going to bounce back from earnings. So I tried to play some lottos again on Friday. Those didn't pan out, but I'll continue to look for opportunities because at some point that's going to start to reverse. And that's it, folks. 22 minutes to the open. I'll be back on later. Let's have a great day. Rock and roll.